Welcome to From Chaos to Cosmos. I'm Christy, your guide, and helping you to find your own personal, perfect cosmic order. Today we are talking about the upcoming Scorpio full moon and how you can work with and utilise this energy so that you can feel empowered to co-create with the cosmos. In this video, we are going to go over the overall general vibe of the Scorpio full moon, the kind of energy that Scorpio holds. Then we're going to go a little bit more in depth by looking at exactly where in your chart, by house placement, this Scorpio full moon is likely to affect you most of all. Then I'm going to give you some journaling prompts that you can do on or around the full moon. If you don't like to journal, then maybe it's just like not your thing or whatever, that's fine. You can take the prompts and either use them as a meditation tool, or you can use them as a tool for your tarot or whatever kind of other divination system that you do. You don't have to like physically journal with them if that's not for you. You can just kind of use them in a way that best suits you. Honestly, sometimes I find that instead of journaling, something that really benefits me more is actually just speaking aloud my thoughts and kind of right. This is actually me stumbling over my words as like the perfect opportunity to talk about this. Sometimes I feel like my brain just works way faster than my hand can actually write. So I feel like sometimes when I'm journaling, like I'm thinking a little bit too much about it, especially if it's something that I'm wanting to have like a conscious flow of just bleh, like word vomit out there. Sometimes I find that actually just talking aloud to... You can talk to like anyone. If you have any spirit guides or deities that you work with, you can literally talk to your childhood teddy bear, burden your dog with your problems, talk to the cosmos in general, or just even like talk to yourself. Just get it out there. And then finally, I am going to be suggesting 3 rituals that might be good for you to do on or around the full moon. So the Scorpio full moon occurs on May 1st, 2026 at 6:23 p.m. British Standard Time. So that is where I am in the world. Make sure to check this with your own time. My brain is like so not working today. My house is so warm that I'm actually finding it hard to function. Full moons illuminate areas of your life that need attention brought to them. It's almost like a spotlight is being shone directly onto something so that you can't help but pay attention so that you can change it, transform it, or release it. See it, say it, sorted. And the spotlight that shines on the moon is the sun. And then every night after the full moon, this light is going to get smaller and smaller, diminishing gradually until we get to the complete darkness of the new moon. This moment of visibility can be really good for things that we want to kind of give a burst of energy to. So the full moon can be an extremely potent time to do like visibility workings. So this is why a lot of people will do spells, rituals, energy workings, that kind of thing underneath the full moon, because the energy is really, really strong. But it is also a good time to release and let go. Like I said, with the light kind of shining brightly on something, it brings your awareness to it. Then you can decide from that what parts of that thing you want to kind of release and let diminish into the darkness as the moon diminishes as well. This full moon is in Scorpio, so Scorpio is all about death, rebirth, secrets, mysteries, the occult, karmic cycles, taboos, sex, all of this. Scorpio is ruled by Mars in traditional astrology and by Pluto in more modern astrology. So Mars is passion, aggression, assertion, fire, drive. And where Mars in a sign like Aries, which is also ruled by Mars, Aries is a fire sign, and these fiery traits of Mars are incredibly obvious and very external when it comes to the energy of Aries. Scorpio is a water sign, and a mysterious, secretive water sign at that. So these energies can sometimes appear less obvious, not less intense, but less externally obvious. Where Aries Mars energy is more like, you've pissed me off, I'm going to punch you in the face, but then I'm going to forget about it in a couple hours. The past is in the past. I've said my piece. Let's move on. Scorpio Mars is holding a real internal grudge for someone. It is kind of stewing on it and hating someone almost to like an obsessive degree. It's like somebody wrongs you and then you like plot against them the rest of your life, and you do baneful magic on them, and you perform curses not only on them but on their entire generational line, and then when you die you haunt them, and then when you're reincarnated you still hate them in the next life. This is the energy of Scorpio, and of course it's not always on bad things. It could be like love, obsession, that kind of thing, where Mars Aries energy is more like passionate, fiery, whoa, I really fancy you, let's fucking go. Scorpio Mars energy is more like intense, seductive, like we will die together kind of energy. Scorpio has this underworld, hidden Plutonian nature to it, which is why Mars and Pluto both need to be besties and co-rule this sign. So like I said, the moon is being illuminated by the sun. This means that the Scorpio moon is being illuminated by the Taurus sun. And Taurus is all things Venusian, so it is really grounded, embodied, pleasurable, luxurious, beautiful. And these are two opposing forces. So while Taurus likes routine, Scorpio needs to transform. While Taurus likes the tangible world in the here and now, Scorpio likes the other worlds and the mysterious. Taurus is concerned with self-worth, monetary gain, abundance, security, safety, and Scorpio is concerned with shared resources, inheritance, so things that are inherited of all kinds, so including like generational or karmic inheritance. The full moon asks us to balance all of this, deciding what it is that we want to amplify and create more of, and what it is that we want to kind of release and let go. So you can expect emotions to be heightened, change to happen, endings to happen, kind of like maybe like a certain level of like intensity to it. You can expect cords to be cut with parts of yourself, other people, situations, the past, karmic cycles. And transformation is not to be feared. So like the death card in tarot, death can only take what is already rightfully belonging to death. It can't take anything that was meant to thrive in this earth. So if something comes upon you, there is like an ending that happens, or there is any kind of like forced transformation that comes up with this full moon, just know that that thing was never meant to be for you anyway. It was supposed to be in your life so that you could transform through it and so that you could be reborn. The energy of Scorpio asks you to become the phoenix rising from the ashes of its former self. So let's talk about the 12 houses and what this transit looks like in all 12 of them. So to look at the area that is going to be most impacted for you during this full moon, you want to look at where you have 11 degrees of Scorpio. You can do this by getting your birth chart up. So once you have it, you want to look for the symbol of Scorpio. So each of these little segments on the outer wheel is worth 5 degrees. So in an anti-clockwise motion, you want to find 5, 10, 11 degrees of Scorpio. And then you're going to look at the little piece of pie that Scorpio occupies and what number that is. So depending on the house system that you're using, your slices of pie might be evenly distributed if you're using whole sign houses. If you're using something like Placidus, then your houses are going to be of different size. But anyway, you want to find the number of house that this is occupying. If you want to have something a little bit more in depth, you can look at a transit chart calculator. And for this, you can go to astroseek.com and look at their transit chart calculator. This is really, really good because it allows you to actually see all the different aspects that is happening in your chart right now and how the current astrology is impacting you directly. However, if you are quite new to astrology, I understand that this can be like pretty intimidating. So if you want to just go by like, this is the house that it's going through, then that's fine. And before we do get into the houses, I just want to give a little bit of a disclaimer that this full moon might be intense for some people and it might be less intense for other people. The specific themes that I talk about through each house doesn't mean that that part of your house is going to like, that part of like your life is going to like fall away and transform in like the most dramatic way ever. For some people that might be the case, and for some people it might just be something like their transformation as Scorpio's going through their first house and they're like, fuck this, I hate my hair, I'm going to get a haircut that feels better for me. If it's not like if it's not something as intense for them in that moment in time, it's going to look differently for everyone. And when I go through these houses and the themes of them, it's really just like a guide for you to get the general vibe of what to look out for. It doesn't mean that like this is going to happen in your life to like the maximum degree. It's like all variable. And with that, let's get into the houses. So if this so stupid. If this full moon is transiting your first house, this might bring up themes around your identity. This is everything about how you show up in the world, including your persona, the mask that you wear, your physical appearance, your outward personality, how you dress, how you look, how you adorn yourself. When Scorpio is illuminating this area of your chart, you might feel really called to transform your appearance in some way. So this could be on a smaller scale or on a bigger scale. And you might also be thinking about how the deeper parts of you are being expressed in the physical world. You might feel like you need to change your external so that you can let the truest version of you shine to the outside world and really show off what you've got going on the inside. Or you could also be thinking about things that you have inherited from your, I'm going to sneeze. Or you could be thinking about generational things that you have inherited. So maybe you could be thinking about personality traits that you got from your mum, or like how you like laugh like your gran, or how you have like your dad's eyes, or something like that, like something to that degree. You might be thinking about the things that make you you and where that actually came from. If this full moon is transiting your second house, this might bring up themes around money and resources. You can expect a transformational energy around money, abundance, and physical things. It's how you think about money, how you use money, how you feel about abundance. It could even be things like how your family or your caregivers growing up thought about money. What kind of things did they pass down to you that you've kind of took on as your beliefs? There could also be realizations around your self-worth and your sense of security and how that directly relates to the physical world. Maybe this could look like having more vulnerable areas of yourself kind of highlighted so that you can transform them into something a little bit stronger and a little bit more stable. Again, this full moon is here for you to release things so that you can feel more supported. If this full moon is transiting your third house, this might bring up themes around communication, siblings, neighbours, and immediate surroundings. So conversations might be brought up now around things that have been bubbling under the surface. If any grudges have been held, or there is any of those more like scorpionic things that you have been holding on to, then right now might be a time where it all comes out. Things are being unveiled for good or for bad, but ultimately for transformational purposes. Scorpio can have like a purging energy, so you might well go on like an audit of like the type of communications that you're like allowing into your life. It could be things like clearing out your inbox, like maybe like you're on social media and you're like, I hate like this person's like message, why am I letting it like bother me? Like clearing out like social media following. Talks with siblings might well come up for you as well. This could be things about, again, like inheritance, but not necessarily always like because someone is like passed away and like you're inheriting something. Inheritance can also mean like things like personality traits that you've inherited, like thoughts that you've inherited, like ways of being that you've inherited, shared like experiences between you and your siblings. And I feel like siblings could also extend to things like flatmates or something like that. I don't have siblings, so I kind of always see the third house as a little bit more broad than that, so I kind of am quite close with my cousins, so I would kind of put them into the third house category, even though they're not technically a sibling. If this full moon is transiting your fourth house, this might bring up themes around your family and your home life. Expect family dynamics to be changed, purged, and transformed. The fourth house particularly speaks to the mothering experience, so your relationship with your mother and how you mother others. Now, mother isn't always like it can be like as straightforward as like your literal mother, but is any kind of like maternal figures in your life or anybody who you are a maternal figure to. And a lot of these concepts are also from like a really, really long time ago. So obviously with like modern thinking, say for instance you were like raised by your father and your father was like played both parts of that, so was like the authoritative kind of what would stereotypically be thought of as like the father, but then he also was like the loving kind, more nurturing, what people would think of as the mother. To me, this would also include in the fourth house as well, and like the mothering experience. Again, you kind of have to like really apply it to you and to your life. Anyway, Scorpio wants to get really deep into those topics and kind of root around and see what's going on. Scorpio is quite a nosy energy, so it wants to like dig around and really poke at the pain a little bit. This house is also linked to nostalgia, so things from your past might well come up, like childhood things, even like your actual literal house might change. You might realise that you want to change up the energy in your home, or you maybe want to move house altogether. If this full moon is transiting your fifth house, this might bring up themes around creativity, romance and pleasure. This might look like romances meeting a completion point of some kind, so not necessarily an ending, but like a completion point could also be like the next step, like becoming boyfriend and girlfriend, or like getting married, like some sort of kind of completion. This could also be like if like intense feelings have been bubbling under the surface, or like secret admirers might be unveiled. Sexual relationships definitely might come into play, so kind of like pleasurable relationships and pleasure of all kinds, but Scorpio is really all about sex, so yeah, definitely things around this could come up if it's transiting your fifth house. Creativity might feel really profound, like you might feel like really called to like make art that's like really connected to like how you're feeling, or however it is that you like express yourself. If you like are like a songwriter, like you might have all these emotions that are like pouring out, or whatever you do is like a creative outlet might be directly linked to your emotions. And this house is also the house of children, because technically they are a creation. So relationships with children might also be brought up round about this time as well. This could even be like looking at things that like you like took on from your parents that you now pass on to your kids. Things like this. If this full moon is transiting your sixth house, this might bring up themes around your day job, work life, like kind of day-to-day routines and general overall well-being. This might be like, and If this is affecting your work life, this could look something like you decide that your job just really isn't for you, so you just quit and you're like done with it and you move on to something new. Or it could look like you like get a promotion or something like this. Kind of the idea of something ending so something new is beginning. And again, even if it is a positive thing, like a promotion or transforming to like a different department, and that like rebirth does have to be like a death of the thing that you're letting go. You might also be kind of like purging out like habits and things that you do day to day that you realise aren't really good for you. So it's the like seemingly small things that actually take up like a big part of your day or have a big impact on you overall. So it could be things like smoking, drinking, doom scrolling, like negative thoughts, all of this, like things that you're going, okay, actually, like, this doesn't have a place in my life, and, like, there has to be an end to something. You might even be called to, like, restructure your home, like, organise things, restructure your entire life, get out, like, a to-do list and plan for, like, things that you're like doing to like change and revamp everything, and things that you're like letting go and releasing. If this full moon is transiting your 7th house, this might bring up themes around partnerships and contractual relationships. Again, Scorpio is all about transformation and change, so that is what it's going to bring to these areas. And the 7th house usually kind of talks about like more close or intimate relationships rather than acquaintances. It doesn't always have to be like intimate as in like romantic though. It can be like very deep friendships, or it can be like partnerships, like business partnerships. It's more so contractual relationships, but contractual doesn't have to be a legal thing either. You can be a little bit more broad than that. For instance, if you have like a best friend, like you're not like contractually obligated to them in like a legal sense, but in like a moral or spiritual or ethical sense, like there is some sort of kind of like unspoken contract there. So that's I would let that fall into that place, whereas like an acquaintance or like somebody who you're more casual with, you don't really have much like obligation to that person. And Scorpio brings up themes around intimacy, hidden emotions, secrets. So it might be quite an emotionally intense time within certain relationships. And like I said, Scorpio is Mars ruled, so even things like power dynamics might come up for you as well. If this full moon is transiting your 8th house, this is actually the house that Scorpio rules over. So all of the Scorpio themes are likely going to be amplified here. This could be like a purging of the old self, shining a light on your shadows, like uprooting belief systems so that you can transform into the next version of yourself. You might even be called to in some way address karmic cycles that you might be in, so kind of overall overarching themes that keep reoccurring in your life. And again, like these cycles are here so that they're here for some kind of reason, whatever reason you believe that is. Like your soul has to learn those lessons or whatever it is, like your attention might be brought to these areas. This is also the house of shared finances and inheritance, so definitely things like this could come up as well. Again, like I have said through a lot of these houses, like the inheritance isn't always like somebody dies and you inherit something from them, but definitely with Scorpio, like that is a theme of Scorpio, but it's not always like what we see at but like it is so much more broad than that. It is like you can inherit belief systems, generational things, you can inherit karma, you can inherit personality traits, you can inherit like physical appearance. There's loads of different things that like you can inherit from people. And Scorpio also rules taboos, obsessions, and all things spooky, scary skeletons. If this full moon is transiting your 9th house, this might bring up themes around belief systems, higher learning, spirituality, and travel. So your belief systems might be kind of challenged or changed at this time. So this is a very spiritual house, and Scorpio is a very spiritual sign. So it could be things like letting go of old belief systems, or it could be things like getting really like intensely into a certain like religion or like a certain practice, or like deepening, getting like more intense with it. You might also be really called to learn from other cultures in some way. Again, with the transformation idea, could be kind of you've come to the thought of actually like I need to kind of put an end to the path that I'm on, like, and kind of take on something new and learn something new. Again, this would be like a rebirth kind of topic. And you might even be considering like a big trip or even a move at this time. Maybe you're like, okay, my time here is done and I am moving to, I don't know why Jamaica was the first place that came in my head. Maybe one of you is moving to Jamaica. If this full moon is transiting your 10th house, this might bring up themes around your career, your legacy, and your public reputation. Power dynamics definitely could be brought to the surface here in terms of your career or your legacy or whatever it is that you feel like you're really put here on this earth to leave like your mark with. You might be asked to really take control of your power and step into what it is that you really want, kind of becoming more of an authority figure, as well as authority figures might start to kind of be taken down a peg or two almost. Again, only if they are on unsteady foundations. This house, like I said, is also your public reputation, so it could be kind of like illuminating you in the public eye. The 10th house is like a very visible house. It's like how you are seen by the world at large. So with Scorpio, it might be something like you're being really seen for who it is that you are. Your true authenticity is on show for everyone, for good or for bad. Again, it's the energy of rebirth, so old systems are going to break away so that authenticity can rise. If this house is transiting your 11th house, this might bring up themes of community, society, networks, and friendships. Societal dynamics will definitely have a light on them and be transformed in some way. This can be endings of relationships and dynamics that were never meant to last, but it could also be a deepening of bonds that are meant to last. You might also be asked to really question who it is that you are in society. What is your part to play in the greater cosmos? Are you showing up as the version of you that you want to be showing up as? And does the part that you're playing in society feel actually sustainable and aligned to whatever your soul's path actually is? You could also be really called to change who it is that you're networking with, change a group in some way that you're part of. So maybe like actually like change the actual group that you're within, or like move on to like a new group that you're in. This could even be like a social media thing as well. Like if you have a social media presence, you might feel really changed to kind of draw in like a new community of people, or like the message that you're sending out might be like a kind of different message from you typically talk about on social media. If this full moon is transiting your 12th house, this might bring up themes around the subconscious world and your general mental well-being. You might well be asked to release old subconscious fears, anxieties, address mental health issues head on, and release everything that you no longer need or no longer want to have. This is really like getting to the root cause of emotional issues that you have going on. It's not just putting a band-aid on it and just getting on with it. It's actually like looking at things that are going on within your mind or within your subconscious and really addressing them so that they actually can be purged and can be let go and can be transformed. The phoenix cannot be reborn if it does not burn away its old self. This house is also the house of dreams and the subconscious mind, kind of everything kind of ethereal and kind of dream-like, illusionary as well. So intuition might be really heightened at this time. Psychic abilities might be really heightened at this time as well. And any kind of things that are like hidden, I would say. I would expect to maybe be brought to the surface and kind of, hi, hello, here I am. And now let's move on to our journaling prompts. What advice would the next evolution of myself give to me? What things did they let go of to become who they are now? Growing up, what beliefs did my family have when it comes to money and abundance? When it comes to communication, what things do I freely and openly express? What things do I hold inside myself? Why is this, and what would it look like if I decided to communicate these things? What things from my past am I ready to let go of? Am I comfortable in fully expressing my sensuality? What seemingly small habits do I have that actually make a big impact on my life? Are there any habits that I would benefit from letting go of? How do I handle conflict in my close relationships? Am I comfortable in expressing my feelings honestly, or do I push my feelings down? What do I feel is some of the most important life lessons that I have learned so far? Do I believe I have a higher purpose on this earth? What does this look and feel like for me? If I could totally transform my public reputation into anything I desired, how would I be viewed? What change do I wish I could see in this world? And what is my part to play in this? Do I trust my intuition enough to let it guide the way? And now for our Scorpio full moon rituals. So these rituals are really, really simple. You can do them in or around the full moon, and of course tailor them to suit you and your specific wants and needs. So the Scorpio full moon is, of course, a really great time to introduce the water element. So I would recommend taking a ritual bath. And the perfect theme for this would be to imagine your bath as the container for your rebirth. Almost like a baptism of sorts. So before you go in the bath, you set the intention for what it is that you want to release and let go of when you're in there, and who it is that you want to then re-emerge as. And you can of course use products or herbs that align with your intention. Create a playlist that really aligns with this. Light candles, you could add a little bit of candle magic into it as well. Or you could even make a sigil for your intention and then throw the sigil into the bath and bathe in it. I love doing this. You could also do an aura cleanse candle magic spell. So it is really, really simple. Basically all you do is you take a black candle, I like just like a regular black chime candle, and you run it through your auric field. So as you're running it through your aura, you want to really envision any kind of negativity, anything that you no longer desire is really being pulled from you and drawn into the candle. You can also say like a little simple incantation as you're doing this as well. This can be something as simple as like, all negative, unwanted or harmful energy is banished from my auric field and absorbed into this candle. And then if you like, you can also dress the candle with like banishing herbs, banishing oils. Like, doesn't have to be anything like fancy. Like salt is super banishing, pepper is super protective, rosemary is like incredibly protective as well. So I bet you have some stuff like in your kitchen cupboard that you could use if you're listening to me and you're like, what the fuck? And then as you light the candle, you could say something like, all unwanted energy has been drawn from me and absorbed into this candle. As the flame burns, this energy is cleansed, neutralised and returned to the cosmos to be transformed. Number 3, this is another energy protection working that literally takes literally uses like zero products. The only thing that you need is like yourself and your breath. So it is creating a fiery shield of Mars protection around your aura. So this is a really powerful technique where you connect to the planetary energy of Mars and you really draw that in with your breath and then exhale and send it out into your auric field, and it just helps to kind of like banish and keep away any kind of weird vibes. I actually have an entire guided video doing just this, so if you want to go and check that out, I will leave a link to that down below. And yeah, that is it for today's video. If you have enjoyed it, please give the video a like. Please subscribe if you would like to see more. And if you would like to get a tarot reading from me, you can do so by emailing the email address on screen. And until next time, bye!